Big Fani Willis has a warning for Trump. The train is coming. She was speaking after her disqualification hearing, where she suddenly and surprisingly remained on the case despite all of the alleged perjury and misconduct that we all saw and witnessed here. But Fani is now speaking, and we've got 2 interviews from her, one in which she says that she's the face of feminism now. So shout out. She is the face of feminism now, and the Trump train is now going to be facing the Fani train, which is coming down the mountain as she comes. And so Fani is now out and about and talking to the cameras. And so she was here over the weekend and on with the media. 11 Alive was there, and Fani is out. You can see she's kind of in her weekend attire. And here is what the interview sounded like as she started off.
Today we're doing a Easter egg hunt, and it's a lot of fun for our children. We do it every year in the community. I've been doing it since actually before I was the elected district attorney. We do it with a nonprofit organization called WAVE, which is We All Value Excellence, that is mainly made up of police officers and law enforcement officers.
Are other events like this held throughout the year?
Absolutely. We do a book bag hunt. Most of the focus of WAVE is to give back to either children or the homeless. And it actually started giving back to the homeless. And then we found out there was such a population of homeless children, and so it kind of grew as a natural arm. And so we do things at Thanksgiving.
All right, they're getting these questions out of the way.
Things just during
All right, yeah, we
year.
don't care. We want to get to the good stuff.
Do you feel like there's any difference at all this year than past years, just with recent attention that you've
There we
gotten?
go.
Do you feel different being out
Recent
and about
attention.
right now?
I feel more love. Actually, I've gotten a lot of support from women that surprised me. I wasn't thinking that I was going to be the face of women, but women of every nationality, African American women, Caucasian women, have been really embracing. Sometimes I think they tell me they're praying for me, but just really, really embracing, very proud of me. So it's
Wow, women all across America embracing Fani. She's the face of women now. Really proud of her. Proud of her affair with a married man. Proud of her witness tampering when she called other witnesses and said, you don't have to speak, they're coming after us. Basically, shut your mouth. Proud of her perjury that she signed off on in Nathan Wade's affidavit. Is she proud of her lying disclosure forms where she didn't report any of her transactions? Women across America.
very interesting to see how proud of women are of what they see in me, and that's very humbling.
I'm gonna go like this. That one hair is lovely.
What was that? Hey, is that a women thing? Let me take care of this for you. Some dude reached in and touched my face like that. You know, I'd have a reaction.
Do you feel like right now this is also a good way to remind the community that you're out here, you're working for them, kind of reclaim your reputation in a way with Fulton County? Do you think something like this might help remind people who you are?
I don't think my reputation needs to be reclaimed, so I guess we'll start there. This is what I would do. No matter what was going on, I'm not going to miss these events. We will be doing our book bag drive in July like we always do. We will give to our coat drive in November. We will do our toy drive at the holidays. We're not going to miss or skip a beat because of all the noise or the distraction on one case. We're going to continue to do our work. I don't feel like my reputation needs to be reclaimed. Let's say it for the record. I'm not embarrassed by anything I've done. You know, I guess my greatest crime is I had a relationship with a man, but that's not...
No, it's perjury, which is a felony. That's your biggest crime. Also, people might say that stealing $750,000 from Georgia taxpayers is a pretty big crime. That's also up there. Witness tampering is a crime. You know, you could charge yourself with a lot of the same crimes that you say that the RICO co-defendants committed. Public officer charges, oath of office charges, all that crap.
Something that I find embarrassing in any way, and I know that I have not done anything that's illegal.
Of course not.
And so I don't feel like my reputation needs to be reclaimed. And when I tell you the outpouring of women, and I'll tell you this, especially African American women who will just say, we are so proud, you are such a good representative of us.
Whoa, really? African American women? That's a good representation? Okay, that's Fani talking. I don't think so, but she does.
I'd be lying to say it's only African American women. I have had Caucasian women, Asian women, Indian women. I told Jeff one day, I didn't think I was the face of the feminist movement, but somehow I became it. And I think that women feel like women are treated differently when they're professionals and they're proud.
She's the face of feminism now. Listen, young girls listening at home, be like Fani. You too can be a prosecutor who is terrible at their job, knows nothing about the law, gets elected for some God knows reason why. Then once you get in there, you can still steal $750,000, have intercourse with your subordinates in violation of your own campaign promises, go on cruises, I think like 5 cruises in 6 months, and partake in a grift of the Georgia taxpayers that has probably been unprecedented in Georgia history. And we'll have a million little Fanis running around America and see how that goes for the country.
To see someone that is strong and trying to do the right job, certainly flawed, like every human being is flawed. flawed. My father has a saying, only one perfect man walked the face of the earth, and they crucified him. I am not a perfect human being, but what I am is a hardworking human being and a human being that loves the community I serve and who understands this seat does not belong to me. It belongs to the people, and as long as I'm here, I'm going to try to do the job in a way that's honorable.
Speaking of the recent
Honorable. There should have been a laugh track there.
case, that almost 2.5 month attempt to remove you from this case, did that delay or derail your own case that you're working on against Trump in any way?
No, my team's been continuing to work, and I think the media, and especially organizations like your own, have been paying attention. All while that was going on, we were writing responsive briefs. We were still doing the case in the way that it needed to be done. I don't feel like we've been slowed down at all. I do think that there are efforts to slow down this train, but the train is coming.
Oh, the train is coming. Big Fani says the train is coming, right? That's what's coming for Trump. We'll see.
You have a date in mind, the next trial date. Is that even being set, or is that still up in the air?
So you may recall in the 19 co-defendant case, we asked for an August trial date. We have not been granted that trial date. We may ask for that date again, but we're realistic. We still have demurs and other motions that have not been responded to, and so those motions will have to be resolved. And once those motions are resolved, we would like to push through trial, but we do understand a case has to go through the steps and go through the process. I'm also realistic that one of the defendants has multiple cases going on, and some of them have trial dates that are ahead of ours, and so I'm always going to be respectful of sister jurisdictions, but we plan to just continue to do our work.
And any possibility of coming up with any other plea deals with Trump or any of the other 14 co-defendants?
Well, in not that case, but in any case, a plea is always possible up and through trial. Even once cases have started, people will enter into plea negotiations.
Thanks, Fani.
And so if defendants come to us and they decide that they want to resolve their case, always open-minded and reasonable, and we will listen to those explanations, and I'll have conversations with people that are interested. Now those conversations will be with me and not Mr. Wade. I hope that was...
Who I love and I miss so dearly, and I can't wait to see him later tonight.
Good for everyone.
Last question. Do you have any reaction to the possibility of an appeal on this latest decision by Judge McAfee with Trump and his co-defendants seeking an appeal?
Well, and I know this gets very technical for lay people. There are some appeals that are called direct appeals, and those appeals are automatic.
Educate
us. A judge should end a charge or end something, suppress evidence. A lot of times appeals are direct appeals. There are other appeals where you have to ask for a certificate of immediate review, and so that's what this one was, where you have to ask the judge, can we even appeal? And so Scott McAfee decided that this was appropriate to allow them to appeal. He sits in that position, so I won't speak on whether I think that was wise or not, but he certainly allowed them to do that. We'll wait and see. Because it is not a direct appeal, which is why this is important, it is not necessary that the Court of Appeals will even take it. A lot of certificates for immediate review, the Court of Appeals will decide, we're not going to take this, there's nothing novel about this. And so the first step is really to wait to see if the Court of Appeals will even hear the issue at all. And so that's the stance that we're in. But the great news is that doesn't slow anything down, because while that's going on, all those motions I discussed, they're still being heard, they'll still be being resolved, we'll still be working.
And we'll be covering it.
Last question. How would you like the media and the public to handle this case going forward? What would you like the attention to be on now, moving forward?
I've always wanted the attention to be on the same thing. First of all, not necessarily on this case, but on the great work of my office. It gets lost. My office has a 95% conviction rate. 95%. And I don't fudge the numbers. That's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears of a lot of dedicated professionals, both law enforcement officers as well as attorneys. That's been a lot of sexual predators that'll never see the light of day. That's a lot of murderers that will never see the light of day. But we're also doing amazing programming in the school where we're touching children and making sure that they're not in gangs.
Oh, she's touching children with Joe Biden. Okay, so that's enough of Fani. So we're familiar with what she's saying, right? The train is coming, and she has no remorse. In fact, she is the face of women and the face of feminism, especially African-American feminism or whatever. So that is her explanation, and you can see a lot of bravado there, a lot of arrogance, some might say clinical narcissism, but she is also explaining less about what's happening in this interview, just a little bit more Fani, and then we'll see what else we have.
So I'm sorry that you came to ask that. Today we are here to celebrate the community. I'm here with Jason Cade of We All Value Excellence. This is an event we do and have been doing for the last 5 years to make sure that the children celebrate Easter, that they know the importance of the season, and that we are here as a district attorney's office to support them. I'm not here to discuss any particular case.
Nothing.
Yeah, we're here to celebrate the community today, so something real...
Did you hear the reporter? Nothing? What? Come on. That's why we're here. You know that.
Big.
Okay, this is real big. I would agree. Anything for the kids is really big. Gotta ask you though, when do you intend to bring the election interference case to trial?
Again, we are here today to celebrate the children.
We don't care.
We will continue to move forward with that case as we move forward with every case, and so we intend to do it just as quickly as legally possible.
The defense team has made clear their intentions to appeal Judge McAfee's ruling that allowed you to remain on the case. How will you respond to their appeal?
Legally in a courtroom.
Anything you want to add here about anything?
Today we are here to celebrate children.
All right, that's Fani Willis. Now, that is what she said, right? Not a lot of mea culpa. She's doing a great job. Everybody should know more about her amazing DA's office. Definitely not filled with a bunch of corrupt narcissists who lie in court. Definitely doing good work there, touching children. So here's Harrison Floyd. Of course, Harrison Floyd is a co-defendant in this case who has been a little quiet lately. And some of that has been, I think, because they have really been putting pressure on him to be quiet. Remember, there was a bond revocation hearing that Fani tried to go out there and deliver a home run on, and she failed pretty epically. It was hysterical. Not for Harrison Floyd, who had to face the possibility of being thrown back into custody. And that was the one that Jenna Ellis sent in a whiny letter saying, I feel like I'm under attack, put him back in jail. Right, that was that one. So this is Harrison Floyd. He said, Georgia lied about the 2020 election. He just posted this very recently. Said, that is why I am the only one who is being held a little bit differently here. Says, I am the only one who was not offered a pre-negotiated bond. I was the only one who was jailed. True. I was the only one denied a bond and a lawyer. True. Only one that the DA attempted to revoke the bond. We covered that hearing. And also not notified about any bond modifications, and saying this is why. And he just posted this from a prior motions hearing back in January. And you're going to hear Judge McAfee, who brings shame to the bench, explaining and having a conversation with the state where they're admitting that there were 0 signatures that were ever captured and made part of discovery.
I'm looking at Mr. Floyd's team.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your Honor, the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine would take the ballot envelope and scan it and create an image of it. Image appears on screen with a signature exemplar, and the two are compared that way.
Okay.
So my understanding is now the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine was not working, or
No, we didn't use it.
They did not use that.
not use it.
So for the item you're requesting to obtain for the scans of all the outer envelopes, they would have to rescan those again, is what we're hearing.
It sounds like they were never scanned to begin with, and so if we're scanned. I want the scanned version
Right.
that they had on that day.
So are there any documents in the county's possession of these items having already been scanned?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can check at headquarters and see if they do have it.
Okay, so the difference here is not so much that there's a total new rescanning, it's what was scanned and is still in your possession from that date.
Well,
Are we making the distinction here?
Nothing was scanned, Your Honor.
Okay.
Nothing.
So we're absolutely clear. We're talking about the outer return envelopes in November 2020. Okay, so
Nothing was scanned, right? So that's interesting. And that looks like it was from a prior motions hearing. And so Harrison Floyd is now bringing that back up. So co-defendants are out here talking about this case. So that is Harrison Floyd. And Ashleigh Merchant was also out. She's been making the rounds. She was on with Megyn Kelly. She was on, I think, talking with some other attorneys who have been covering this story. And she also showed up on ABC and was asked about some of these next steps. And here is what that conversation sounded like with Miss Merchant. You remember her, the person who is representing Michael Roman, the co-defendant who started this whole saga in the first place.
That's what we're actually doing now. So we're preparing our appeal. He gave us permission, but in Georgia, we have to get also the permission of the Court of Appeals. So that's the next step. So we've got 10 days to ask the Court of Appeals to grant that same permission. If they do, then the case will go to the Court of Appeals. If they don't, we will ask the Supreme Court also to grant it.
I want to come back to that sequence, but first, you said in your statement after Judge McAfee's ruling that denied this motion, Fani Willis is not disqualified, that you nevertheless feel vindicated by Judge McAfee's order. Why?
You know, there was a lot of tension filing this motion. It was difficult, and I was called a lot of different things, a liar, you know, different motivations in filing it, everything other than just doing my job. And I knew I was just doing my job, so I was very happy that Judge McAfee saw the things that I saw the indecent ways that certain folks responded, and, you know, just the obstruction. Everyone was trying to obstruct us getting evidence. You know, they filed a ton of motions to quash subpoenas, called me a liar repeatedly, tried to not even get this motion heard. So I felt very vindicated with his statements that this was something more than, you know, just lies or, you know, had any improper motives, anything like that.
So, Ashleigh, I have to ask you, you described the process here. You've got the Judge McAfee's permission to take appeal at this point.
You know, and I've heard that a lot. I've heard that as a criticism, but the best way to avoid delay would be for Ms. Willis to step aside. She could have stepped aside originally. She could still step aside. If she chose to do that, there would be no delay because we wouldn't be able to appeal. So she could choose to step aside and this case could move forward. forward. But, just because something might delay a case doesn't mean that I can avoid taking a legal path that I think helps my client, I think is the fair result. We just want a due process trial here. We just want a fair trial. And this is the only way that we can preserve his right to a fair trial is by continuing to fight this disqualification issue.
So that's Ashleigh Merchant. And, the meme right now is that Donald Trump is asking for delays in all of his cases because he wants to push things out past the election. And the actual response is that all of these trials were organized, coordinated to be dropped in order to put them right in the middle of an election year. And they had years to investigate these claims. And then they filed them at the very end of 2023, knowing that the trials would line up right with the election season. So they were political attacks, literally. They could have brought them years ago. Even in the Alvin Bragg case, could have brought that one many years ago. And many other prosecutors have already declined to do that. So the idea that Trump is delaying this by simply asking for some due process and for time, to read the evidence so that he can actually review the discovery, 11 million pages is insanity. And they said Trump has, 9 months to get through all of the discovery that it took them and teams of lawyers years to cobble up. He can have like 9 months. Not fair at all. So Fani, of course, is delusional, and the delusion I don't think is going anywhere. I think that she is not stepping aside anytime soon. The case may be dragging itself out because of these appeals. We'll see what the Court of Appeals does in New York, whether they grant the certificate of immediate review to the Trump defense and the other co-defendants. But Fani Willis is going to be around here in the meantime, and we've got a hearing on the motion scheduled this Thursday. So be sure you're subscribed wherever it is you're watching this, my friends. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for inviting someone you know or love to come over here. Check out our channel. Join us on a live stream because we got all the Trump trials here that we're attending to between now and the election and then some. We got some great links down in the description below. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com is our members only community where we do live streams in the morning. Already did one today, and we do shows on Saturday and after parties after our live streams are over. We have an amazing community. We'd love to have you join us. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Thanks for being here, my friends, and we'll see you back here on the next one.